It is time, once again, that time, folks, for another episode of the Apple Circle podcast, the show that breaks down everything happening in the wonderful, wild world of Apple. We've got some interesting tidbits. Mark Gurman, the GOAT, is back with some amazing rumors and leaks and lots of good stuff. We've got a little bit of a preview of what is to come in 2022. We will talk about that, as well as some updates on a few other things we talked about last week. But first, of course, we want to hear from you guys. If you guys have a question, a comment, you've got feedback, you've got a question on buying advice. Should you buy the MacBook Air? Should you buy the MacBook Pro? When should I buy a new Apple Watch? Hit us up at the Apple Circle podcast number. That line number is 949-354-3508. Give us a call. Send us a text. We want to connect with you guys. And let's just jump right in. Matt, before we begin, give me an update on your monitor situation, because last week you had gotten a 42-inch, right? The
42.
LG C2 OLED TV, using it as a monitor. Now about a week and a half-ish later, tell me, is it worth it or is it going back?
I'm still using it. I think it's going to go back just because I'm not 100% in love with it, right? Like if I was like, oh, this is awesome, then it's worth the money. But my real issue is that for just a little bit more, I could get like a studio display, which is a much better monitor for actual computer things. But I have gotten used to the size of this. I've gotten used to the resolution. I've kind of dialed in my setup a little bit more. I'm looking at it right now as I talk. And I like it a lot. It's very useful. It's very high quality. I also brought my PS5 up from downstairs, plugged it in, got that all set up. Now that's where this thing really shines as a TV, is for gaming. The 120 hertz, OLED and bright colors. I mean, it's great for gaming. But as a monitor, I'm getting used to it, but I don't think I'm gonna keep it. It's just not. It's not quite the best monitor for the price. If I got like a super good deal on it or something, maybe it'd be worth it. But I'd rather get an actual monitor or put that money towards a Pro Display XDR, which is still on the list of things I want to get. And I think I'm getting close. Let's put it that way. I think I'm getting close.
The monitor conundrum continues. It's crazy how, man, like few things have held their value as well as the Pro Display XDR. Maybe it's just because it's expensive to begin with, but like the resale on them is really good. I mean, if you bought one, maybe because the pool of those interested, like those professionals, is so small that you might have bought one a couple years ago and you could still sell it for about what you paid for it, which is crazy. And they're, I know they're tempting you on eBay to look so nice. And that's the thing for me too, is like, I love the studio display. It looks very nice, but I feel like 27 inches is almost, it's not too small, but I have a 30-inch now or 32-inch. It's like, I don't want to downsize, but the only,
that's what I'm worried about.
That's the thing, is if you want to upgrade, you either got to try a TV or go to the Pro Display, which is great, but it's insanely expensive.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm worried about, is that now that I have a 42-inch screen, going down to, let's just say I get a Pro Display, going down to 32 inches, that's a big difference. So, but actually why I think I would really like that size is because it's a 6K panel. So if you do the scaling, it's a little smaller. I am maybe a little weird where I like everything as small as I can get. I know that's probably like nails on chalkboard for you, but I want everything as small as it can get, but I also want it to be like at least 1:1 resolution. And with 4K at this size, 1:1 resolution is still pretty big. Like everything's still pretty big on the display, and so it's like, yeah, everything's huge, but I want more space. I want more screen real estate, and 4K, no matter what size you make it, doesn't give you more screen real estate. It just makes things bigger or smaller. So that's kind of my issue. So 6K on a Pro Display XDR or 5K on a studio display is better than 4K. So I think that's probably the route I'm going to go, but it's mainly just a matter of when. I just looked up on eBay like what they're going for. The cheapest is buy it now, $4,895 standard glass monitor only. That's not that different than buying a brand new one. And then the next ones, you can get a standard glass. This one's $5,600, which is only like $400 cheaper. And then this one is nano texture, which is $55. So if you're looking at these, by the way, what are you even thinking? Get the nano texture just for the resale value. But yeah, that's it. There's only 3 on eBay right now. So yeah, it's a tough world out there right now. Yeah, exactly.
And I just feel like too, like when you're in like that margin, it's like, well, it's like $400 is like not insignificant, but it's like, would you rather just like have it brand new from Apple with all the stuff that comes with any issues, whatever, the kind of return policy, warranty, stuff like that. So that's something to consider. I guess if you were a student, you could, well, I guess you can't save on the Pro Display XDR, but you can save on some other stuff. Mental mentioned this last week. The back to school promo is official. It's, I think, 20% off on AppleCare, then up to $150 off in the form of an Apple gift card, which is a sticky situation for a couple of reasons. One is that I guess you can, but when you go to make that purchase, it's not $150 off. Don't they just give you a gift card? So it's like you can't really apply the gift card to your order at the time of order. It's kind of a little crazy. Am I explaining that right?
Isn't
think
that that's
been
as
your
far as I'm aware,
experience?
that's how it is. Like you can't.
Yeah.
They give you the gift card, but you can't use it on that purchase because well, there's no reason why they need to do it that way. But I think the idea is like you're getting it from this purchase, so you're going to use it later. Basically, they want you to buy more stuff. Obviously, I mean, I get that, but I don't know. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have like a pair of Beats? I think I'd rather have the gift card.
Well, I think the last year's promo was really good. It was AirPods
Right,
for free,
exactly.
or you could like pay like $50 and get AirPods Pro. That was a really good deal. Obviously, they probably don't have enough AirPods Pro in stock because the new ones are coming, so they probably just don't have. If they could clear out their inventory, they would, but they probably don't have enough. And I guess with AirPods 3, they're just too new. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with that, but they can't do AirPods. Beats, who cares about Beats? Everybody wants AirPods. So the 150, I mean, it makes sense because on one hand, Apple hopes you don't spend it, and they just sort of, got $150 you're never going to spend. But what I would recommend is you could either just be in the store and like, oh, I'm going to buy a pair of AirPods and use that towards it, and that would give you a good chunk off, or just wait for AirPods Pro 2, save that gift card, and then use it towards that because we know those are coming and it's going to be well worth the $150. Do you remember, Matt? I don't know how far back you've gone in the education discount. Remember when I first started getting Mac's education discount, they used to come with a free printer. I don't know if you remember that. You could do an Epson printer or Canon. Then the best one I ever remember was they used to, for a short amount of time, you could get a free iPod Touch if you bought a Mac for education discount. So I think that is the best one I've seen. That's like the equivalent of like getting a free base iPad, which would be a really good deal. Could you imagine if they gave you a free iPad if you spent $2,000 on a laptop? That'd be cool to see.
Well, that would be smart because let's say they gave you a base iPad. Well, then if I get the iPad, then assuming I don't have an iPad, like, because that's kind of the whole reason they do these is to entice you to join the Apple ecosystem. So you get a little perk. So if I get an iPad and it's like my first iPad, even if it's the base model, then I'm probably going to be intrigued in like, okay, what if I get the Apple Pencil and really see what this is all about? What if I get the keyboard case? And that's more money I'm spending at Apple. So I feel like that's a little better. But also, I mean, you get 120, whatever it is, $120 on the gift card, then I'm going to buy something, even if it means it's like in 6 months and then I buy like an iPhone or something. But I think it's smart. It's like you're going to get more money because I guess unless you buy an Apple Pencil, $99, or is it $129 now for the Apple Pencil 2?
I have my Apple Pencil. It's in a drawer, and I feel like an idiot buying it.
Either way, it's less than $150 or whatever. So I guess there are a few things if you want to buy like a case or AirPods, like you said. There are a few things that you could buy without using that entire budget. So I guess they are losing money in that sense. But put that money towards a new iPhone or something. I think that's a good way to go.
Save it and enjoy. I guess speaking of student discounts, will probably be people really using that for is buying a new Mac. One of the most popular Macs that people want to buy is the new MacBook Air, but we still have no info on when that's going to come. And now there's speculation, according to the tech Twitter universe, that maybe it's like end of July. No one really knows. So it will be eligible for the student discount if you're curious, but we have no idea when it's coming. And just sort of weird. Mum's the word. No pre-order dates, no launch dates, no idea.
End of July makes sense because otherwise, why wouldn't they give us a date? I feel like whenever they don't give us a direct date, it's as far or it's as close to that deadline as possible. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if, let me just look up the calendar here. What's the last day that they could possibly do it in July?
I think it's like the 29th or something somebody was saying. Like
29th is a Friday. Yep, that's when they're going to do it. Pre-orders available for July 29th. I could see it now. They usually, when they don't give you a date, that's how they do it. With the Mac Pro, the 2019 Mac Pro, they said it was coming, and then they didn't release it until like the end of December.
Didn't they say end of the year? And then it was
Yeah, so I think if they don't give you a date, you can pretty much bet whatever time schedule they give you, it's going to be as far pushed back as possible. Um, I do think though they have to do it at unless something catastrophic happened, they have to do it in July, which they said they would, but there's nothing that really ties them to that except for them saying it would. But they really have to because of that back to school push. I think this MacBook Air is like perfect for a lot of people. Like you walk into the Apple store, you see this brand new computer with a different color, and yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than the base MacBook Air, but I have a feeling that when you put them side by side, you're going to want the new MacBook Air. So I think it's important that they get those out as soon as possible. School starts in August, right, for most people.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm assuming, and I guess I have no idea, assumption that the reason they're waiting so long is they're trying to make as many of these as possible to sort of build up their inventory, so then when they do go on sale, you're not waiting forever, which that's sort of the concern, and I'm really curious to see is how long is that wait going to be? If you pre-order and you get, the base model, you're probably maybe okay, but I'm sure those custom order ones, I don't know. I'm set on trying one. I think that I'm committed to, I want to try one to see if it can fulfill my needs that my iPad can't. And I've been struggling with, do I want to get the base model or do I want to up it a little bit just so I have a little bit of legroom there if I ever wanted to do anything. And I'm like, well, what's my pre-order strategy? Do I buy the base one and then no, I'm going to return it? Get in there and pre-order, buy the base one because they're going to go fast, then go in and do my custom order and see what it takes? Or do I start with the custom order? I don't know. I think that if you're looking to buy one, inventory is going to be slim.
Yeah,
so just sort of count on that. Matt, I know you're speculating and thinking about it. Are you going to do MacBook Air? Try it out?
I'm definitely gonna try one. My issue is I'm gonna be out of town. I'm not gonna be off grid, but I'm definitely not gonna be on my computer for about a week and a half, kind of. So I'm hoping they don't release it in that time period, but I think they're gonna do it at the end. So as long as I am on top of things, I'm gonna order one if I can. And Alexa, my wife, needs a new computer, so if it is great, then we'll probably just keep it, and that'll just be her computer.
My wife needs a new one too. She has a 2013 MacBook Pro. Those things are workhorses. Those things last and last, and it's still going, but it's time. So I told her, we'll have to get you one of those. And it was funny because she was telling me the other day how now she wants AirPods Max. And I was like, well, if she has a new one come in, I'm like, well, kind of. That's the thing is I feel like people want AirPods Max and they don't really know. But she didn't know anything about them. She's like, I like the way, because she's tried mine, like the way they sound, comfortable, but the price. And I feel like everybody's hung up on that price because it's stupid expensive. And Joe was asking me about, what's coming next and sort of gets us into our, 2022 timeline. In terms of AirPods Max, we heard that there was going to be an update to them, but it was going to be maybe colors. I don't know if the hardware would change. Though
I don't
with
think there was
AirPods
anything,
Pro,
or I was going to say about the Max, I don't know if there's anything hardware wise for this, but there is rumors that maybe we'll see this lossless, which you're going to talk about right now. So go for it.
Right. AirPods Pro 2. I think I'm more excited for this than iPhone 14. Super excited for this. So what we know right now are a couple of things. We just got a new leak from 512 Audio, which is known for being pretty good on this stuff. Weren't they the ones that leaked? What was it? 52 audio. Weren't they the ones that leaked the iPod before the iPod launch or something? They had some really big leak and they've had a good track record. So what we know, the actual AirPods Pro themselves, it looks like the design is going to stay the same. So you're going to have the same stem, same look, same ear functionality, which it might be a good thing because, as a couple people pointed out, if they're going to add all these new features, you don't want to sacrifice on battery life. And the AirPods Pro, they're small and they work well, and you want to have that good battery life. So I think that makes sense. But the case should get redesigned. So we're going to see hopefully better charging. We're going to have a lanyard attachment so you can attach these to a key ring or a hook or something. And then a speaker so you can sort of play a sound like you would with your iPhone through the Find My app. So, if you have your iPhone, maybe it's buried between the couch cushions, you're able to go to the Find My app on your computer or online, play a sound, beep, beep, beep. It makes a sound, you can find it. With AirPods Pro, you technically can do this, but it sucks. It never works and you can't hear it. With this case, now it'll make an audible sound that you can actually track down. And the other big thing with the case, surprising here, is looks like USB-C for charging on AirPods Pro 2, which looks great. Then a couple other things. I want to hear your thoughts. on them. Let's go through the last two things, I think. Lossless audio, which should be coming, and then heart rate detection. So not exactly sure what this means, but maybe some kind of fitness thing. That's what we know. Matt, are you in on AirPods Pro 2? Are you ready? It's been 3 years since AirPods Pro.
Yeah, it feels like they just came out, but when you actually look at the date, they've been out for a long time. But I guess that's a testament to how good they are, because it's not... There are small things, like you mentioned, the Find My thing, where it's not great. There's small things like that where I wish they were better, but overall, like, they're great. I don't really even need anything from them. There's little... Yeah, if it had better battery life or something like that, that's great. But I don't really need it. So that's just a testament how good they got it on the first round. What I'm most interested in, not so much to use, but just to see what it's going to be and how it'll affect the ecosystem, is all this health stuff. So it's heart rate detection, which, your Apple Watch does that. So basically you can track your heart rate if you're exercising or something like that. I guess this would be great if you don't have an Apple Watch and then you still want to do some sort of tracking, because heart rate detection you can't do on your iPhone. So that's one way to do it. So that's interesting. Apparently there's also going to be temperature detection as part of that. So not exactly sure what that means. It doesn't mean something like the Oura Ring, where it'll actually tell you if you're getting a fever. That could be interesting. I'm very down for that. Well, because I actually do wear my AirPods all the time, so it'd probably be able to get a pretty good, baseline of what my actual temperature is, and it'll probably detect if it goes up pretty fast. So interesting. And then I guess the other one, did you mention the hearing aids?
No, tell me about that.
So apparently there's going to be a hearing aid capability built into these AirPods, which I guess you kind of already have that with, what's the feature called?
Live Listen.
Live Listen, yeah. So you have, in normal use, you have transparency mode, which just kind of lets sound in, so it's almost like you're not wearing them. This is that, but like kind of on steroids. It actually pumps the audio in and amplifies it, which I guess I'm not sure how that's different than the Live Listen. So there's one version where you like use your phone as the microphone. You can put the phone anywhere, and then that's what you listen to. And then I think there's also a version where you can amplify what the sound coming in sounds like. But I guess,
you know what?
Maybe it's just more official as a hearing aid option rather than just boosting the audio.
Yeah, they talked about that in, I think it was it last year, Spring Loaded? They mentioned that thing about using them to amplify the sound around you. That was not the Live Listen, or something else. But I've never seen that implementation. Maybe I don't know how to turn it on, but I remember them talking about that. Then I don't know whatever happened with that. So,
well, I should have read this a little more carefully, but I just read through, and this is actually kind of interesting. So this is how, according to 52 Audio, this is how it's going to work. The sound can apparently be collected through the charging case and transmitted to the earphone for sound enhancement and payback. So it's kind of like the iPhone version, where you can put your iPhone anywhere, but this is just using the case. So it's kind of an all-in-one system. But
I feel like that's an interesting theory, but for me, I'm thinking, okay, so, and I don't really know how your hearing aids work as well as I should, but let's say you're at the movie theater and you got your AirPods in, you want to amplify the sound around you, wherever you are. For me, at least, the AirPods case never really stays out. I always have this in my pocket, or I'm like fidgeting with it. That's exactly what you don't want, because you're just going to hear that in your ears as you fidget with this. I feel like, would it make more sense to have somehow, because the AirPods have mics, to pump it through there and amplify it? That seems to make more sense to me than doing it through the case, but maybe there's some kind of limitation.
And, everyone's saying that this rumor is a little, don't take it 100%. This is one that we haven't actually heard yet. All the other things we've heard many times before, so this is the one, well, I guess USB-C we haven't heard, but the hearing aid capability is one that is a little iffy, let's say it that way. At least the case part of it. Yeah, I agree. If they could just figure out a way to pump it through, which they already do that, so maybe this is a non-issue. USB-C though, do you think that's going to happen? That's strange. I want it, but
if you had told me that was going to happen a year ago, I'd say no way. But now, with all the rumors about the 15 getting USB-C, and like that, there are rumors that Apple's going to start switching accessories. Yeah, maybe. And I think that it makes sense. I mean, they've slowly started to switch away from Lightning to things, and I think that will it happen? I think that there's a good chance it's going to happen. Is this what Apple intended from the get-go? I don't think so, because I don't know why they'd want to switch from Lightning to USB-C because they love keeping things proprietary. But we've seen it on so many things. I think that we could see it on AirPods Pro 2. And if it happens there, then I think that it's just going to be a matter of time until AirPods Max get it and then everything else. Because forgot it was a couple of weeks ago I went to charge AirPods Max, and it is kind of annoying to have to go dig for the lightning cable to charge these because you can charge these wirelessly and the phone charges wirelessly, so it's a little bit inconvenient. So yes, it'd be more convenient, but I'm still skeptical on what the timeline of that is going to be if it happens. But hey, more merrier on USB-C. I'm all in for that, so hopefully it does.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. But yeah, these things are shaping up to be very good. I would assume that when these do come out, we're not going to see an update for at least 2 years. I mean, I don't see why we would.
I mean, it's crazy that, like you mentioned, how good these have held up. October of 2019, via a press release, nonetheless.
Yeah.
These came out, and I remember, I think we were like working from home that day, and we're like, Apple just dropped new AirPods Pro, and like ordered them, and they've been great. And like I said, I lost that one, which I will say, sidebar, Apple sent me the replacement. Like I ordered the replacement one through AppleCare or whatever, the other Bud, and I put it in and I couldn't get it to work. Long story short,
the pairing
went to the Apple store.
Oh,
well, it wasn't even that. What?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
Oh,
so,
I was gonna say because there's a particular pairing process you have to do when they give you a new one, and it's
no, I know that. I followed that. It didn't work. So
okay.
I went in, I put them in the case, plugged it in, removed it from the iPhone, tried to do the pairing. Like the pairing light is never turned on. Long story short, took it to the Apple store. The firmware, like they were mismatched, and they had to force a manual firmware update, which I could not have done from their special technologies because the firmware on the new, I think it was the firmware on the one that existed was newer than the other one, and it's supposed to update the firmware if you keep it plugged in and
it's
just open. Yeah. Didn't, so that was a fun experience, but still worth the hassle because I use these every day. So for me, they're worth it. I think the big question, though, especially given the current economic climate and the logistics and supply chain, is pricing. So these launched at $180, right? Isn't it $180 for AirPods Pro? $179. Do you think AirPods Pro 2 are going to be $199?
I would not be surprised, especially if they're packing more features in there. That is not at all. That would not surprise me at all. Let's put it that way. I'm looking up just to make sure that we got that price. I'm looking at the press release just to make sure. Of course, I can't find it now. Oh, wait a minute.
I think it's $179.
I'm trying to read this here. This is kind of confusing. Pricing and availability. No, it's $249.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Maybe I got the price all wrong, man. Okay, $250.
I think $179 was the original AirPods. And then so AirPods Pro will be available for $249 in the US. AirPods Pro, so the regular AirPods with just the charging case $159, and then if you want the wireless charging, it's $199, and the case by itself is $80. So
I stand corrected. That's a lot more expensive than I remember. Maybe. I mean, the thing is too, and I a lot of people are like very hesitant with AirPods. These days, you can find deals like crazy for AirPods Pro. So don't go to Apple to buy those unless you got a $150 gift card, which might be worth it. But $300, that is pushing it, because for $300, there's a lot of headphones you could buy. You could buy sort of last generation, right? Sony's, like the X1000s. I mean, I know the newer ones are more pricey, but you could probably buy older ones, Bose. $300 for in-ears are expensive, but I still think there is something about AirPods that is a winning formula. It's the pairing, it's the good noise cancellation, it's the good transparency modes, audio sounds good. Now with lossless audio, it's going to sound even better. I think it's worth it, though that's a pretty penny to put down on little in-ear headphones. $300, wouldn't be surprised, but that is expensive. That's expensive.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see $300, but I'm betting maybe $270. That'd be my guess. Either $259, $10 more, or $270, $269, $20 more. I don't think they'll go all the way to $300. $300, that does seem a little steep for what they are, even though it is really good, and personally, I'd gladly pay it. But I mean, for $100 more on a good day, you could find a pair of AirPods Max brand new, and that's not. They're different kind of products, but I'd rather have the AirPods Max. Well, actually, if I can only choose one, I'd still get the AirPods Pro just because they're so much more portable.
Yeah.
But I just mean
love
like from a
AirPods
price,
Max.
from a price to
Value.
performance ratio, $300 is a lot. I'm hoping it doesn't go quite all the way to 300, but I also wouldn't be surprised. In this day and age, everything is more expensive. So, yeah, that's a tough one though.
I think the other leak we heard, I don't know if it was from Mark Gurman or not, but basically Apple Watch Series 8, not a lot about the design, but I think the chip is basically confirmed to be, or at least rumored to be, the same as the Series 6, which is basically what we have from the Series 7. Basically, the chip for the Apple Watch is going to be unchanged yet again. Big question, though, is the design. So we don't know if the design is going to change for the Series 8. There is a rumor, though, that we could see a new model, this rugged edition that is somehow rated better for sports and outdoorsy type stuff. Maybe that could get the new design. There could be some new health sensors and stuff built in, but really, we haven't heard a whole lot about the Apple Watch, so I'm wondering if this is going to be a smaller year for the Apple Watch. But Matt, are you looking to make the upgrade to Series 8? What would it have to have? Or are you going to get the outdoor, the Explorer
this rugged
edition?
model might be speaking my language. I love that kind of stuff. So that very well may be what I end up doing. And I also wouldn't, like, I have the Series 7. Geez, I got to get this thing polished. It's very scratched up, my stainless steel, now that I look at it. But I got the stainless steel model for this. So this is a little bit nicer. So maybe I'd wear this every day. Well, no, that's stupid. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Because this rugged watch is apparently going to be more expensive, right? It's going to be like the top end, almost like the edition model. So I can't justify that being just like a fun watch. That's either got to be my main watch or nothing. So, but I think if I do get one, it's going to be the rugged. If not, I'll stick to the 7. What about you? Because you did end up keeping the 7, or no? I can't remember.
I have the 7. Look at us just fawning over Apple products like we're some fanboys or something.
I know.
I do have the 7. I regret not doing the stainless steel, though. I got the green, which I like.
The green's nice.
I have the 7. It's just, for me, like I said before, there's a couple of Apple products that I like that I will make the upgrade every year. I guess with the Series 8, I'm curious if there really isn't anything different and there really isn't a lot changed, then I don't think I will upgrade. If there is a new design, though, I'm in for that. We already got the bigger screen, so probably nothing there. I mean, it's been so... the info has been so sparse, we don't know. Maybe better battery life, but for me, I just put it on the charger every night anyway, so that doesn't really make a difference. Speed makes no difference to me. I don't run apps on this. I just literally just really use it for the time and stuff, so that doesn't make a difference. I don't know what it would have to be compelling enough to upgrade unless it has a new design. That would be really cool. And I'm curious with this rugged edition, what's it going to have? Is it going to just be sort of better water sealed and sort of IPX whatever rated, and is going to have a better screen? Maybe it has a matte sort of anti-glare display, like a nano texture display. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I'm curious what they do. But I don't know. I mean, I'm all in. I love the health stuff, so I need like new health sensors and stuff that would get me to upgrade. But besides that, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. New SE2 as well.
Yep.
So the bottom end is getting better. Series 3 is gonna go bye-bye. That'll be out of here. So really, I think the Apple Watch, I feel like they're setting it up to be in a good spot where there's lots of good options for everybody. I feel like a lot of people don't upgrade every single year, but it's when you make those big upgrades, it's worth it. My parents, both of them now have Series 7s. They had Series 1s and Series 2s. Series 1 and 2s, whatever it is, the correct enunciation of that. Super old Apple Watches. I feel like the Apple Watch doesn't need to have these huge year-to-year upgrades, but if they could just keep the line consistently good, then you've got people funneling in who have these older models who are going to be really happy with what's new. So, makes sense. Yep. Makes sense for Apple Watch.
I will say, once again, do not, under any circumstances, I don't care. It's better to have no Apple Watch than to have a Series 3. Do not buy the Series 3. Because... I mean, watchOS 9, which was just announced at WWDC, is not compatible on the Series 3. So, what you doing? Why are you buying this watch? Which I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're not buying the Series 3. But just as a PSA, if you know someone that's thinking about it, tell them no. Tell them it's worth it to just wear a regular watch. Save your money.
Before we get to more of the main events, let's talk about 2 other products in the works that might launch this year, maybe next year, but they were in the news, so I talk about them. New HomePod, new larger HomePod may be coming back, and then a new update to the Apple TV. So, and I was having a discussion with my parents about this a couple of days ago, and I want to know your thoughts, Matt, on this. The Apple TV, the new rumors, I think it's going to get a newer processor, some more RAM, which, okay, like, good to have that stuff. I think the current Apple TV is great. The issue I struggle with the Apple TV is it's good. I like it a lot. It looks really good. It's nice to navigate, all that stuff. It's just so hard to justify that price. It's so expensive to own an Apple TV and to buy an Apple TV. Do you think that what meaningful upgrade could Apple add to the Apple TV in a new update? And also, when someone's coming to you for advice, for my parents, they want to watch Apple TV content, which they don't have to have an Apple TV for that these days. So I was like, oh, look at the Roku and stuff like that. When someone comes to you with advice for a streaming set-top box, do you recommend the Apple TV, and why or why not? What do you think about it is worth the price justification?
I do recommend it, but honestly, most people I know either have a smart TV with some of these apps built in already, or they have something like a PlayStation, or they already have a Roku or something like that. So I'm not really ever in that situation where people are asking, because people seem to already have their own thing. But if someone's going to ask me which one do I like and which one do I recommend, it's the Apple TV, and it's just it's just because of all the functionality. For instance, all the Apple ecosystem stuff. So, for instance, I have the HomePod as my speaker downstairs, and that just works. I just go into the sound settings, pair it to the AirPod through AirPlay, or HomePod through AirPlay, and it just works. Or, like you were mentioning a few weeks ago, you can just listen to your AirPods through the TV without having to do any kind of weird Bluetooth things or anything. It just works in the ecosystem. That alone is what makes it worth it for me. Now, if you're just trying to watch content and you don't care about any of that, then just do it whatever way you can. If your TV has smarts in it and it has those apps, just do it that way. If you want a Roku, then go for it. But yeah, the ecosystem is what's really getting me. I actually still have the Apple TV HD. I didn't buy it when the 4K was out, so don't hate me. I've had it for a long time, but I don't even have a 4K model. I think whenever I do upgrade my TV, I'm looking at my TV that is actually a monitor. Whenever I actually upgrade my real TV, then I'll probably do that upgrade. But I mean, I think what would be great is if Apple, they're not going to do this, but if Apple just cut the price on the HD model. That's what they really need to do.
They could bring something down to a compelling price tag around $100, which is, I think, the problem is, I think Roku has done a couple of things really well. They've built up a really great reputation for being like this really easy to use, lower cost, more affordable streaming solution that's got all the apps you want. They've got a lot of different models, so they've got higher end and lower end ones. And then they have a good price point. I mean, you can get a higher end or like a Roku streaming stick for like $30, and they've even got good options like $50. I mean, it's hard to compete with those prices. The Apple TV has a lot to offer. The ecosystem's really good, great integration with all your Apple stuff, but it's so expensive at the current price. I think even the HD is like $150 or $160, which is stupid expensive because the 4K is like $10 or $20 more. If they could bring something down to like $100 price point, if they could, correct me if I'm wrong, you might not know this, but wasn't one of the older Apple TV models, I want to say it was that black hockey puck one, before streaming took off and we are at the place we are now, wasn't that $100? It was definitely lower cost. Let me look this up. But I feel like if they could bring it down to that price point, that would be worth it for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up through Mac Tracker, which I can't even find on here it is. Got it. Yeah, but I guess back then the price, you kind of had to make it a little bit more compelling because it didn't really do much. It just let you view all your content. Now that you have streaming, I mean, it's your kind of portal to everything. Devices, let's see, Apple TV, second generation is the puck from 2010.
That was it. Yep.
And it
$99.
$99. Yep.
That's what I remember. I remember getting that thing, and I thought, oh, wow, this actually isn't super expensive. If they could bring that price down of the HD model to $129,
Make it
$110,
it's $150 right now.
Such a compelling offer, and for that you're getting all the Apple stuff. You're getting AirPlay. You're getting all the Apple niceties. I was talking to Alec, who is our producer editor on this podcast, a couple of weeks ago about watching content with AirPods and how it's nice how you can use a nice pair of AirPods Pro or Max or anything and just connect seamlessly and like watch content with headphones. And it's not like this whole like to do as it would be on other platforms. That's one of the nice things you can only do on Apple TV. It'd be nice to have that functionality at a cheaper price because I was talking to my parents about getting a new streaming box and replacing the Roku, but for the price of the Apple TV, it's so tough to justify because it's so expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I guess the reason why you'd want the Apple TV 4K, not the HD, but the 4K, is because it does have Dolby Atmos. Well, actually, now I got to look up. I think the Roku has that too.
I think the higher end Roku's,
yeah.
The Apple
really
TV
the ecosystem. That for me is worth it.
It's AirPod support, the Fitness Plus stuff. We've liked now that we have like a baby, like we have like the screensaver like that pulls in the iCloud photos, and that's kind of cool. That's an Apple thing. I will say we've been like experimenting with the different profiles on there. That's been cool too. AirPlay, but the problem is as Apple has opened up their ecosystem, there's a lot of this good stuff that's on other platforms. So you don't have to have an Apple device, which is nice, but also makes the Apple TV less attractive. So I don't know. I don't think the Siri remote is enough. Or like the remote app on your phone. I think that they've got to do something, and I think that a lower cost box is a good way for them to go and a good avenue for them to explore.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Roku Ultra has 4K HDR Dolby Vision, has Dolby Atmos, all the same stuff the Apple TV has, and it's only $99. So
crazy.
I mean, that's a great deal.
I mean,
you can't deny
in Apple's
that's a great deal.
defense, those Rokus are littered with ads all over, which is kind of annoying. And there's
I will never recommend anyone buy a Roku. I'm just saying from the outside, from people who don't care about any of that stuff.
I own several Rokus. My parents own a lot of Rokus. They're like all Roku over there, and they're not bad. But it's just you get what you pay for. And from my experience, the Apple TVs have held up very well. Rokus, after a few years, they overheat. They're buggy. They crash. I've had weird resolution scaling issues. That's why I just ultimately switched. And the Apple TV has been great. Never has had a problem. More expensive, but I feel like with the Roku, you pay a little bit up front, but you have more hassles over the life of that product.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I'm gonna say, don't even think about buying the Roku Ultra. Yeah, it's $99, so it's a good deal. But if you care about 4K and Dolby and HDR and Atmos and all that stuff, just buy the Apple TV. I think you're going to have a more seamless experience, like you were just saying. But if you do want to, you're like, I want these features, but I don't, not the Dolby features, but I want 4K. I want all my streaming apps, everything like that. I would just stick to, I'm looking at all their products now, the Roku Express 4K. It's one of those sticks. Actually, I don't know if it's a stick, but it's a little box. It's not big. It's only $40. 4K, HDR, it's got Wi-Fi, comes with a remote. So yeah, $40. I don't care if I get an ad. That's fine. Give me ads. Like, that's a good deal. So, if you're really trying to just get the features, that's a good way to go. But if you're wanting the best of the best, I still think Apple gives you the best. Unless you really want to go out and like put a Mac on your screen or something like that. But even then, I think Apple TV is better.
So let's talk about one of the main events coming up, surprisingly, Matt, in like 3 months from now, iPhone 14. And I guess, I don't know if on the podcast, it's been a while since we've recapped what we know, so let's quickly do what we know. So design, basically not going to change at all. It's going to look very similar to the 13, really even the 12 and the 11. It's not a huge design change. Biggest features are on the Pro, so we're going to see an always-on display, which will be cool. We're going to get that new double hole punch notch. We're going to get hopefully better battery life in all phones but the Max, I believe. Maybe satellite connectivity. We're going to get 2 different processors, A15 in the lower end, A16 in the higher end. We're going to get a 48 megapixel main camera, maybe 8K video recording, upgraded selfie camera across the board, and the new 14 Max screen size. And I think that's like the highlights of the 14 series. It's been a while since we've talked 14, Matt. So now that we sort of have more rumors coming in and things are getting finalized and it looks like this is sort of the design and features are locked in, how are you feeling about the lineup and which model are you going to pick up? Because I know you're going to buy one, so just tell me which one you're going to get.
Well, interesting. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going to get. I have to see what the features are and how they look. I have the regular 13 Pro right now, and I usually like to switch off a little bit just so it's not the exact same phone every year. But I think maybe there might be enough here difference that I'm not going to care too much. So as long as they are the same from both the Pro and the Pro Max, then I'm going to get the Pro probably. And I'll just get a different color. I'll probably go with silver again. Right now I have space gray. But I guess this is probably not too good for the iPhone 14. I haven't thought about the iPhone 14 in a long time. Like the news come up and I like just don't even pay attention to it. There's nothing exciting here at all. Are you? I think you're kind of in the same boat, right?
I'm I'm excited for always on display, the double notch, but it just I think that the problem was we hyped ourselves up too much in the beginning of the year. We thought it was going to be a big redesign. And I think that not that the design is everything. I don't want to say that, but it's a big thing. And I think that we've had the iPhone that's looked basically the same. I mean, okay, there have been some minor changes, but let's be honest. Since the iPhone 10 5 years ago, it's been roughly the same. It is
Right.
boxier now. It does have the cameras in a different orientation, but it's been about the same. It's like the difference between the 7 and the 10 was a big deal, and even like the 6 and the 5. The 13 is, or the 14 is basically going to be the same as the 13, and it's a little disappointing on that front. But I'm excited for a couple of things. Always on display is going to be cool, the notch. I'm most excited and very curious about the camera. So 48 megapixel main camera, according to Ming Chi Kuo, 8K video recording, which seems a little ambitious to me, but maybe. I think that that's going to be the real winner, is how that camera looks, how good the photos look, how good the videos look, because if it's going to be as big of an upgrade as we think, then that might get me excited.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. I love the iPhone camera, and that's the main reason why. There's a lot of reasons why, but that is a very big reason why I stick to the iPhone soft. And even though the Pixel has a great camera, and there's a lot of other phones that have great cameras, the iPhone quality and the features that it has are something that I just enjoy. And really my main issue with it is the resolution. So this 48 megapixel is intriguing to me for sure. I guess the question is, it seems like they're going to be doing pixel binning. So the files themselves should be still 12 megapixels total.
Yep.
But they're going to basically get more quality out of it. Interestingly, I guess, like on the pixel perspective, they do the exact same thing. They might even have a 48 megapixel sensor. It's something close to that, and they do pixel binning, and it spits out a 12 megapixels image. But there is a lot more detail in there. Now, the Pixel has, I forgot what they call it, but it's like where they shift the pixels, pixel shift maybe, and it like is able to interpolate detail from that. So it takes two photos almost and stitches them together at slightly different. It's all kind of Google stuff. But I will say that when you actually look at the photos, there's a lot of resolution, even though they are 12 megapixels. So I'm hoping Apple does something like that, and utilizes not just the quality of, like, say, light capture and giving you better low light or something like that, but also gives you more detail, because that's really my main issue with the camera right now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what else I'd want to see. I mean, the camera stuff is going to be cool. The video stuff is going to be cool. We always get more excited after the event, so I'm sure we're going to get there. But it just, I don't know, the rumors kind of died off, and I think that people are just sort of waiting to see what happens, and I will just have to wait around until September to see what happens. But I don't know. I think that the always on display is good. The notch situation is a little weird. The camera, I think it just lets you see how things fall into place, because I think there's like a lot of maybes and ifs and ands, but I think it's going to be interesting to see what the final form of the 14 line is going to be. I still think the 14 Max is going to be a great phone for so many people out there. That I think makes sense. But really what I'm struggling with these days is, if you're looking at just the 14, there is no reason at all to buy that phone if you have a 13 or a 12 or whatever, because the difference is, I mean, even if, let's say someone was like, okay, I have an iPhone 10. I'm looking to get the other base end iPhone. I could buy the iPhone 14 for $799, or I could buy the iPhone 13 for $599, or an iPhone 12. It's like, where do you guide someone in that sort of world? Because I'd almost recommend the iPhone 13 over the 14, because save yourself the money, because there really is no difference.
I completely agree. I mean, obviously I don't think this is going to happen, but there could be something that Apple announces that is noticeably different. But no, if it is what was rumored, then there's no reason to buy the iPhone 14. Honestly, I mean, it's the bigger screen. That's really it, right? So if you do need that bigger screen or you want that bigger
Hmm.
screen, then that's about it. But if you're planning on buying the regular iPhone 14, that just I don't know how they're gonna.
I'm
Do you? Oh,
trying to
here's a
think
question.
yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think they're gonna keep around the 13? Because they're gonna be so similar. They're not gonna, right?
I know Apple's always very like particular about what they keep around, what they don't. I don't think so because I'm trying to think what's particular about the 14, and that is it's going to have an upgraded selfie camera, maybe some like slight camera adjustments, maybe some more RAM, better battery, and that's about it. There's nothing else. The
Yeah,
screen's not
maybe
changing, the
different
notch isn't
colors.
changing.
Yeah.
Even some new colors. My thinking too was, as we approach the end of the 13, if you want a mini iPhone, buy one now because I'm wondering if Apple is going to keep those around once the 14 is out because the mini was quote unquote a failure. Are they going to keep the 12 and 13 lines there? Are they going to just get rid of them and just sort of move on? And the mini's going to, because I feel like in a couple of years from now, the mini is going to become the unicorn iPhone that everyone's going to want because it's a very rare item and Apple is not going to bring it back probably ever again.
Yeah. Do you think that the mini iPhone will turn into the SE? Because that's something that we all kind of thought, like, oh, this is the perfect SE phone. But do you think they're actually going to do that? Because the SE is still
I
in the
feel like
old architecture.
in its current iteration, I don't know because I feel like it's too expensive. All those parts in there are too high end for the SE. So I think that we'll see some DNA from that come down. But I feel like in its current form, the iPhone SE is still, or the iPhone Mini, excuse me, is too quote unquote premium to be in the SE line. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how long Apple continues to make the mini iPhones and how hard they're going to be to track down. I feel like if you want a mini, buy one sooner than later because once the 14 comes out and we see how things shift, I feel like it's going to be tougher and tougher to buy a mini iPhone.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you want the mini, I mean, buy it now. Maybe even buy two if that's the phone that you need for the rest of the time. Because I mean, maybe Apple will make another one in the future, but I feel like after this one, they're gonna be done unless the whole market shifts and suddenly you want smaller and smaller phones. Which I guess if let's say this headset takes off and really that's how you're interacting with the world, then I would want a small phone. So maybe a mini will happen at some point, but I'm not too hopeful.
So I guess if you're like really looking for like the blockbuster Apple stuff this year, I guess the headlines are iPhone 14, Apple Watch, AirPods Pro 2, maybe some new iPad Pros with them too, but not a lot of changes there. As always is the case every single year, it seems like next year is going to be a bigger year with the bigger iPhone redesign. The headset's obviously going to launch, the continuation of Apple Silicon. It's like Apple has a lot of stuff to launch before the end of the year, but not all of it's going to be blockbuster stuff. It's going to be interesting, some more interesting than others, but I feel like as always, it's next year we're going to see the headset. Next year we're going to get this. Next year we're going to get that. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else for the fall that we missed
Yeah.
besides? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna say the HomePod. We didn't really mention the HomePod.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
the other thing that's supposed to be in the works.
in development, who knows when that's going to come? It seems like Apple is going to fix some of their issues with the bigger HomePod and bring a new iteration. I guess my biggest question here is price because I feel like one of the big issues with the other HomePod was it was too expensive. Do you think we see something because the HomePod Mini is $99, $199, $249? Do you think there's a sweet spot in there for these new HomePods, and what do you think it's going to have?
Yeah, I think if it's just like a updated regular HomePod, so it's like the bigger version with really good sound quality, then I see that maybe being 249. I don't think it's gonna go any cheaper than that. 199 would be great, but I just don't see it. Um, I guess the other question: do we have? I didn't get a chance to read through this part, but did they mention anything about the HomePod with the screen? Is that still in development?
Last I read, it was in development, but I don't think that's not going to be this product. So who knows when that's going to come?
Okay, so that's a separate thing. So yeah, I think 249 makes sense, and then maybe you'll get a really high end one for. I could see that being very expensive. If it does have a screen, I could see that being like $600. But I'm excited for this. I have the original HomePod, and it's one of my favorite speakers that I've ever owned. I still prefer to use that over the HomePod Mini, just because of the sound quality. I think it's really good, but it just needs an update with. Well, actually, it doesn't really, in my opinion. It actually is very good. The only thing it could benefit from is maybe Bluetooth support, but Apple's not going to do that. They're just going to stick with AirPlay. And then Siri just needs to get better, but that's not a HomePod issue. That's just a Siri issue.
When was the last time we heard about Siri in any meaningful way doing anything
Yeah,
productive? It's been quite some time. So I feel like
it's kinda
Apple
sad.
just like, Siri's there, but I mean, now I guess, they can excuse its lackluster performance for being private and secure, though Siri's always been having issues. I feel like it's just, they never acknowledge that anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it though for some of these new features. I mean, not features, products. The next event we're expecting is the fall, right? We're not expecting anything before
probably
that. So
September.
October timeframe, probably September, where we would see the iPhone, and then hopefully we'll go from there. There actually was one other thing, which is about Macs, but we're kind of out of time, so we'll talk about that next week maybe. But it's getting exciting. We're in that lull between WWDC and the fall, so we have the betas now that we're playing with, and looking forward to the new products. Anything else you want to hit before we head out?
I don't think so. We surprisingly fit a lot of topics in this one. So as always, guys, get connected. Apple Circle hotline number is down below, of course, on screen again, 949-354-3508. You can listen or watch wherever you consume your podcast. We also got a video version as well. You can just search the Apple Circle podcast on YouTube, and Matt and I will pop up in all glorious HD, 60 frames per second for your video enjoyment. And we appreciate you guys watching. So thanks so much. As always, we'll see you right back here next week, hopefully with some news on the MacBook Air, for another episode of the Apple Circle podcast.